Hey guys, this is All My Favorite Things from the Screen with another video on Hulu's Only Murders in the Building. Now, the note above Jan's door, everyone's seen it, but I was thinking about it and I really wanted to try and figure out who wrote it and what does Jan know specifically. Now, if you have watched any of my videos, you know I firmly believe that there's a large organized crime ring located in the Arconia whose hands reach outside of the walls. And who knows what they've done to repress the actions of those inside of the Arconia. But before we can take a guess at what Jan knows, let's look at what we know. Please excuse my basic graphics, but this is a small association matrix I've made of connections that I feel are pertinent to the story. And of course, as you can see, this all began with the death of Tim Kono, who we believe was buying jewelry and attempting to take down Teddy Demas and his organization, Angel LLC. Tim bought his jewelry through Mabel's cousin, Gustavo Mora, and Gustavo bought them from another fence named Cutter. We're not sure, but Cutter may have bought these directly from Teddy Demas. Oscar is the only other person that we know that has met Cutter definitively. Though we have not, Oscar is the one who found out that Tim did in fact buy and at one point have the emerald ring that caused Zoe to die in his possession. But this is where things get interesting. While our podcasters tried to look for information on how and why the Demases killed Tim, Jan attempted to push the podcasters away from them as suspects. She was adamant that the information they had linking him to the crime was circumstantial. But why? Why would she care if anyone was getting framed for the murder she committed? Why would she want the heat off of anyone? Or was she trying to put the heat on someone else? Now I'm assuming that Jan knew nothing of Tim's endeavors to take down Teddy Demas. If so, she should have known that the emerald ring was not for another woman and just part of his investigation. That would negate her reasons for killing Tim. And this is if we're being told the truth behind her motive, which we have no reason to think that we are not. So, if that is all correct, all the information we have does point to Teddy Demas at that point in time, and no one was looking at Jan as a suspect. What does she have to gain from moving suspicion from Teddy and his son Theo to anyone? Now, before we go any further, we must talk about our mystery person, whose place in this whole ordeal is unknown to us. All we do know is that they were watching Jan, and they made sure that she knew that. But what were they watching? As I said, we don't know for sure, but I'm betting that they were watching what she was doing and what she was saying to our podcasters, maybe putting a little fear into her that she does not mention to them who the suspicious person is and what they do. The statement, "I'm watching you," does seem to be a little bit of a threat for Jan to be careful in her actions. I believe that this person is a high-level player in the criminal organization working out of the Arconia, a person that Teddy Demas likely works for. And with all that, let's think about who she attempted to put in the crosshairs of the podcasters. Even though she should have no dog in this fight and no real reason to choose anyone or to think anyone had anything to do with it, she chose Howard. Was this done to shift the eyes away from the Demases and lead our friends down a wild goose chase? Or was she trying to get the podcasters to see something we all don't know? What if the person watching Jan and Howard were the same person? He was their first suspect, and first guesses are usually right. Maybe he's guilty, just on a higher level than most are aware of. I like to believe that most dialogue is said for a reason, and the writers have been known to give little clues here and there. What if Howard really doesn't have a vasovagal syncope? The whole fainting at the sight of blood is just an act. I found it interesting that Howard fainted just after Charles not so slyly mentioned that they were recording the conversation. This could have been a ruse to get out of that conversation and not to incriminate himself or have himself mentioned on anything professionally. Charles himself called it a fainting act and that he could see Howard's acting from a mile away. Now, that does sound like it could be a throwaway line, but Charles seemed pretty earnest in his belief that Howard was just pulling the rug over our eyes. Could this be an elaborate tactic by Howard to get the heat off of himself? Could he be appearing as a weak, unsuspecting man as to not to seem like the big bad and dangerous man he really is? If this is so, it would be in the same vein of one of my favorite characters from one of my favorite movies, Verbal Kint, aka Kaiser Sose, in The Usual Suspects. Kaiser Sose famously pretended to be a cripple that went by the name of Verbal Kint. Unknown to people around him, he was actually the criminal mastermind. Howard even has a similar stance to Sose, and this person does not seem like a threat at all. Are they trying to force this perspective that Howard is a non-threatening individual on us? If this is true, Jane couldn't incriminate herself and how she knows what she knows, but if she could get the podcasters to investigate Howard, maybe they would see who he really is. Look beyond the illegal jewelry and the cops not doing their jobs to a person that could be pulling the strings. I mean, Howard asked Bundy to come hang out with him the last time we saw him. Jan knows what many people may not know, who the true crime lord is in the Arconia, and she's willing to stab herself to prove her loyalty. Whoever it is could be the reason Theo is out of jail in season 2. That is power. That's the kind of person who, when they see someone making a podcast that can threaten what you've likely took years to build, sends threatening notes in the podcast or I and you. Now, this started out as just an idea of what I think Jan might know, but it went off the rails into another crazy conspiracy theory, and I just went with it. I like to try and get some out-of-the-box ideas, and I hope that you like this one. But let me know, what do you guys think? Could Howard be the person who's behind everything, killing Bunny himself, or orchestrating events of the show? Either way, let me know. Thank you very much. This is all your favorite things from the screen, and I hope to see you guys on the rooftop.